Welcome back to Blue Thumb Adventures. Today I'm going to plant some store-bought potatoes that I've sprouted in these grow bags, and we're going to test something out on the top as well. So I've grown potatoes one other time and it was successful in the sense of I got potatoes, but they were just tiny ones, which is fine. It was exciting for the kids to dump out. So this year I'm going to do it in bigger grow bags. I'm going to do it in grow bags so that I can move them around as I need to for sun, but also so we can just dump them onto a tarp, get our potatoes out, and then reuse the dirt. So I have 2 bags I'm going to use.
Ashley.
I think, what?
Sorry. I didn't see. Where's the Suburban dustbin?
Right there in the kitchen. I have 2 grow bags I'm going to use. I believe they're 20 gallons each. So let's do it. All right, so I don't want to waste a ton of good soil. So I have this mushroom compost that I'm going to add in. This stuff is like $2 a bag versus this stuff that is $10 a bag. So I'm going to pour this in. See it? Okay. I think I'm going to just do 1 bag for now because I have to go get another bag of mushroom compost for the other bag. Okay, so I filled the bag about halfway. I have 14 potatoes from store-bought potatoes that have sprouted. I purposely let them sprout. So I'm gonna stick them in, sprouts up, or the eyes up. And I have 14, so I'm gonna put 7 in here. Fine. 6, 7. All right. So when I got those in, I'll show you guys. Sprouts up. Now I'm gonna cover them. Now there's different ways you can do potatoes. You can do what I'm gonna do, which is just put them in and then one final dump of soil, or you can till it. So you can wait for the potato plant to come to the surface, and then you can pour more soil on top. And then just keep repeating that. And I'm not going to do that this time because I want to try something different. I have a limited growing space, and it takes a while for these potatoes. We won't be able to harvest these until probably spring. To be honest, I didn't check. I think it's, I'm pretty sure it's spring, but I don't know if it's like March, April, May, I'm not sure. So, just leveling out the dirt, or the soil, and gonna get it wet. I'm gonna actually move this over to where its home is gonna be before I get it too wet and it becomes too heavy. So. Alright, so it's not as pretty of a view over here. See if I can get you guys closer. Now, I know this seems like kind of a waste of so much soil, but here's the thing. It's not a waste, one, because it's growing food, but also because when these potatoes are done and we dump it out and harvest, I'm gonna dump it out on like a tarp or something, or in the wagon, so that I can reuse the soil again for something. So it won't be wasted. This is just, I don't know, storing it for me while growing the potatoes. Okay, so I'm actually gonna take a little bit out, and I'll show you why. Okay, so even that out. Get it wet again. I try to follow rules in the garden, but I actually just kind of use them as guidelines, because I feel like I've tried things perfectly the way that I read or researched how to do it. And I also did things just kind of testing it out, not doing it the exact same way, and was still very successful. So I don't know, I use the quote-unquote rules for gardening as just guidelines and kind of play around with it. In worst case scenario, I don't get a harvest, or I don't get as big of a harvest, but then I know for next time what to adjust. So yeah, I mean, don't be afraid if you don't know absolutely everything about gardening. None of us do, but you can be successful just using the rules as just kind of guidelines. So if you don't have all the good tools and all of that stuff, just use what you can. So I'm sure there's some specific amount of potatoes that are supposed to be in here for this 20-gallon grow bag, but I had 14, so I split it between my 2 bags, and now I have 7 in here. I'm not sure if that's within the guidelines, but I'm sure I'll get some potatoes from it. So I'm going to do another round of watering now. All right, so the water's not pooling on top, it's settled in. So what we're gonna attempt is, I have some gourmet blend lettuce seeds, and because it's gonna take a bit for these potatoes to sprout up, and again, I have a limited growing space, I'm in my suburban backyard, so I'm gonna try and utilize the soil on top for fast growing crops like lettuce, that once the potatoes sprout and start to make it to the surface, I can just do a clean cut of the lettuce and have a big harvest of lettuce in the time that it was taking for the potatoes to get to the surface. So I get extra food. I've never done this before, so let's try. And I am going to just sprinkle a ridiculous amount. I'm not going to lay each seed down. Lettuce seeds are small, and you can see this is a blend. You can see all the different colors in there. So I'm just going to sprinkle it very heavy. And they will still grow if you have so many in here. The only thing is they'll probably be smaller, which is fine, because even if it's smaller food, it's still food that I wasn't going to have before. So sprinkle. All right, I think we've got enough in here. Now, I'm going to take that soil that I took out earlier, and lettuce seeds, because they're so small, they don't need to be covered up very much. So I'm just kind of sprinkling this over. This is definitely way more than it needs, but I don't want to waste the soil I have here on the bag. Do a quick watering just to make sure that the soil makes contact with the lettuce seeds. Alright, that should be good. And just like that, guys, we've planted potatoes that we will be able to harvest in spring, and hopefully grow some lettuce on top that we can harvest in the meantime while we're waiting for the potatoes to pop up. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed. And let me know if you're growing potatoes, if you've grown them before, or what you are planning to grow. I know it's winter and everything is freezing in most states, but here in zone 9B, I can basically grow all year. It's in the 60s today, and it's going to go back up to the high 70s as of next week. Our first expected frost was supposed to be December 8th, which is next week, and that's when it's going to be like 77 out. So we're definitely not going to get a hard frost or freeze or anything like that at the expected date, which is fine. It just means more growing for me. So we'll check back out on this in a couple weeks, or maybe a week or so. Lettuce doesn't take too long to sprout. So we'll check back in on this in about a week and see if we've got some lettuce sprouting. Thanks for joining me today. Until next time. Bye.